Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order of the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners. It's Saturday, November 15th. We're at Truckee Meadows Community College in Reno with remote feeds to Las Vegas and to Elko. Let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Lane, could you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Suzanne, could I please get the roll call of commissioners?
Chairman Drew.
Here.
Vice Chairman Wallace.
Here.
Commissioner Bliss.
Here.
Commissioner Johnston.
Here.
Commissioner Lane. Here. Commissioner McNinch.
Commissioner McNinch is absent, and he let me know that he has a family event to be at today.
Commissioner Morley.
Here.
Commissioner Valentine.
Here.
And Commissioner Young.
Here. All right, county advisory boards, could you please stand and announce yourselves and which counties you're representing, please?
Paul Dixon, Clark. Lynn Bunch, Mineral.
Tom Gasson, Humboldt.
Brandon Watson, Eureka Western Port, County.
Which Chapman, Walker County. Stan Zuber, Carson City. Pullman, Douglas.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any cabs present in Las Vegas? I don't see any cabs present in Elko.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Bert Gurr and Elko.
Sure, thank you. All right, we'll move to agenda item number 13, approval of the agenda for possible action. The commission will review the agenda and may take action to approve the agenda. The commission may remove items from the agenda, continue items for consideration, or take items out of order. Any discussion by the commission? Seeing none, this is for action. Any public comment on approval of the agenda in Reno? Any in Elko?
No comment in Elko.
Okay, Las Vegas? Okay, hearing none.
No comment in Vegas.
Thank you. Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board, and if there's no discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Wallace, seconded by Commissioner Bliss to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Number 14, member items, announcements, and correspondence. This is informational. Do any commissioners have any member items, announcements, or correspondence to announce at this time? Okay, seeing none, I have one that I would discuss today since we do have some tracking stuff later on the agenda. Just so everyone is aware, we did have two regulations that went to the Legislative Commission between our last couple of meetings. They were the trap visitation time regulation as well as the demerit regulation. Both of those items were actually deferred or tabled by the Legislative Commission, so they will not be in place. They were deferred until after this legislative session. I know the department was there in person to answer any questions. I offered members of the committee to answer any questions prior to the meeting. There was no discussion. It got pulled from the consent agenda and the motion was made. So just so everyone is aware that those two regulations were deferred and will not be in effect. All right, seeing no other items, I'll move into item number 15, County Advisory Boards to manage wildlife member items. Again, this is informational. CAB members may present emergent items. No action may be taken by the commission. Any items requiring commission action will be scheduled on a future commission agenda. CABs, any items? Okay, seeing none in Reno. Elko, any CAB member items?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I will move from agenda item number 15 to agenda item 16, fiscal year 2014-15 Big Game Release Plan Amendment, Wildlife Staff Specialist Mike Cox. This is for possible action. Department staff are requesting to amend fiscal year 14-15, which will run through June of 2015, Big Game Release Plan to add a California bighorn augmentation for the massacre rim in Washoe County. Mr.
Good morning. Mike Cox, Big Game Staff Biologist for Nevada Department of Wildlife. Just have one amendment to be proposed for your consideration this morning. As you stated, the Massacre Rim, which is southwest of the Sheldon National Wildlife Refuge, we're asking that to be added to our release plan. We did have plans earlier this year to, and we were really focused on the source population for this release, which is the Sheep Creek Range, which is north of Battle Mountain. So we were concerned about the forage conditions out there earlier, and we had identified both U-hunt and also capture for transplant effort to reduce that herd to sustainable management levels. They've been really dry over there, and there's been some excessive grazing over there too. So we still have plans to get that population down to a level that we feel is appropriate to the habitat. And we were going to use the Coleman Rim area for that augmentation to go down about 15. But Coleman Rim experienced a wildfire this summer, and actually all the livestock on public land was killed off. And as usual, it's going to be a 2-year process minimum for recovery of that plant community if we get rains. And so we felt it would be inappropriate to release some wild sheep on that burn area until it's recovered. So the Massacre Rim, we were going to be adding that as a augmentation for our next release plan. So we thought we'd try to use the Massacre Rim earlier than later to move those down from the Sheep Creek Range to another site. So that's why we're asking for that amendment.
Okay, questions, comments by the commission at this time? Seeing none, I'll take it out to CAB comment. Any county advisory boards have comments, please come up. Seeing none, public comment. I know I have at least one.
Good morning, Jeff Turnipseed with Nevada Bighorns Unlimited. I just wanted to put forth that we're willing to contribute to this effort financially and with manpower. In fact, our chapter of NBU, Elko NBU, Fallon NBU, but Mineral County Sportsman just purchased a brand new sheep transport trailer, so we're anxious to see NDOW get it dirty. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment, Reno? Seeing none, Las Vegas, public comment?
No comment, Chairman.
Okay. Elko, public comment on agenda item 16?
No comment in Elko.
Okay, seeing no further public comment, I'll bring it back to the commission for further discussion or questions. I would just say to Mr. Cox, I appreciate the handout and the write-up you gave. I think it gave good background material for all of us. So if there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we approve the department staff request for through June 2015 Big Game Release Plan to add a California bighorn augmentation for the Massacre Rim in Washoe County, as presented by Mr. Cox.
So it's been moved by Commissioner Young, seconded by Commissioner Bliss to approve the amendment to FY 2014-15 Big Game Release Plan. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries 8-0 with one absent. Thank you, Mr. Cox. Thanks. With that, we'll move into agenda item number 17, and we've got a series of commission general regulations for adoption. This will be for possible action, and public comment will be allowed. 17A is Commission General Regulation 435. Excuse me. Archery Disability Permit and Cleanup, LCD file number R107 14, Conservation Education Division Administrator Teresa Moyola. For possible action, the commission will consider a regulation relating to hunting, authorizing the department to issue archery disability permits to persons with a permanent disability, revising the definition of longbow for certain purposes, revising the circumstances under which a person may use a crossbow to hunt a game mammal or bow to hunt a game mammal or game bird, authorizing a person to use a scope permit during the type of hunt that is restricted to bows and providing other matters related thereto. This regulation was previously heard by the commission during a workshop at September 2014 meeting. The commission discussed how the regulation will allow for the use of crossbows in archery season and for hunters with specific disabilities, and clarifies archery equipment legal for any bow hunter in any archery season. The language has been updated to reflect changes requested by the commission, allowing a person with certain permanent disabilities preventing them from using additional archery equipment use of crossbows. The language change clarified the definition of disabled, and I believe that update was made in the support materials. So with that, Ms. Moyola.
Thank you. For the record, Teresa Moyola, Conservation Education Division Administrator. I came before you initially with this idea in Tonopah and again at the last meeting. The commission asked for an update in the draft language on what really is page 3. It is subsection 5. We updated that language to read, as used in this section, permanent disability means a disability which prohibits the person from manually drawing and holding at full draw a bow that complies with the provisions of subsection 2 of NAC 503.144. What we did is we removed the language to make a simplification, the language that reads of the upper torso or the amputation of one or both arms of a person or any part thereof. So that change has been made. In your support material, you'll see where it's bracketed in red for removal.
Okay. Any question or further discussion by the commission at this time? Mr. Bliss.
I just got to disclose that I'm a member of the Nevada Outdoorsman Chairs, and that any of the decisions made today or my input will have no financial impact to me or the organization.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments, questions, or discussion by the commission at this time? Seeing none, I'll bring it up. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Lane.
I guess my question is, it says a disability. Isn't this broadening the definition to some extent in terms of what you've done here? Because now it's basically saying a disability which prohibits a person from manually drawing. So you could actually, if you had a senior, someone who was older and had arthritis problems, that would encompass that as well. I mean, it seems like it's gone beyond what we originally proposed here.
It's really more of a simplification than a broadening of the definition, because it does say permanent disability. And of course, as we mentioned in the previous meeting, the disability has to be certified by a physician. And physicians have certain requirements that they go by when certifying a person with a disability. And a permanent disability triggers a bunch of other things, not just their ability to hunt, say in a disabled hunt. So for a physician to certify somebody as permanently disabled, that's not something that's done lightly. It's typically not something that's done for normal kind of age-related issues. I mean, we are talking, when we say permanent disability in the medical community has a real definition. And their physician has to certify that. And again, that wouldn't just be for purposes like for hunting. Once they're certified disabled, that has a whole other set of ramifications. So I don't foresee, I mean, obviously I don't know exactly what could possibly come up, but I don't foresee a physician willing to do that just for these hunting purposes. This is a certified permanent disability. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Bliss.
Yeah, on page 7, section 5, 4A, down towards the bottom of the page, it reads, it is unlawful for any person to carry any firearm in the field while hunting under archery regulations. After our discussion yesterday, is that something that we need to address in this language or not?
I think that might be a good question for our DAG. We are dealing with the same regulation ultimately, or the same chapter I don't know how we have to do those, whether we have to do it in this one or if the other one and this one together make the change there. That's a great question.
Yeah, I believe Dag Warden, maybe Chief Turnipseed could answer this better than I could, but what we do today would be specific to the permanent disability and the other cleanup items. If we were to adopt the regulation workshop yesterday, I believe it would update this exact chapter. So
Okay.
I don't think we can do anything on it today, but if it does get updated in a future meeting, it will automatically update this. I'm seeing nods yes, so.
Commissioner, Chairman Drew, it's the same section, 503-144 in the Nevada Administrative Code. So if what was proposed yesterday goes forward, it would then change what Commissioner Bliss has identified.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it out to any county advisory boards in Reno. Okay, seeing none, public comment in Reno. Okay, we got a quiet crowd today. Public comment in Las Vegas.
No comment, Chairman.
Okay, public comment in Elko.
No comment in Elko.
I'll bring it back to the board, and if there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion. Commissioner Wallace?
I move to approve Commission General Regulation 435, archery disability permit and cleanup LCD file number R107-14 as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, so it's been moved by Commissioner Wallace, seconded by Commissioner Young to approve Commission General Regulation 435 as presented by the department. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries 8-0. I will close agenda item number 17A and move to agenda item 17B, Commission Regulation 439, Water Ski Towable Device, LCD file number R108-14, Staff Game Warden David Fiffner for possible action. The Commission will consider regulation related to watercraft to clarify what is considered a towable device behind a vessel or restricted areas close to water skiing for public safety and high use areas, narrow channels, or certain bodies not large enough to accommodate the activity. The regulation will clarify what types of device towed behind a vessel are prohibited in water skiing restricted areas, such as high use areas, narrow channels, and in certain water bodies. Was redundant. The Commission heard this regulation in workshop on September 13, 2014, and recommended as presented with no changes. Mr. Fiffner, are you going to take this one from Las Vegas?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for the record, David Fiffner, Game Warden Captain. This regulation, as we heard in Las Vegas, is in regards to towable devices behind vessels. It's just updating our language to accommodate the newer vessels or newer towable devices that have come online. Our regulation was just specific to water skis in the past, and this will encompass all towable devices in narrow channels in different locations within the state.
Okay. Any Commission questions or comments at this time? Okay. Bring it out, open it up for any cabinet input here in Reno. Public input in Reno. Okay, seeing none, any public comment in Las Vegas?
No comment, Chairman.
Okay, public comment in Elko.
No comment in Elko.
All right, with that, I'll bring it back to the Commission. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve Commission General Regulation 439, water ski towable device, LC file number R108-14, as presented by Secretary.
Second. Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Bliss, seconded by Commissioner Wallace to approve Commission General Regulation 439, water ski towable devices. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes 8-0. I'll close agenda item number 17B and go to agenda item 17C, Commission General Regulation 444, Laughlin's Fisherman Access, LCD file number R086-14, Staff Game Warden David Fiffner for possible action. The commission will consider regulation relating to watercraft that will prohibit swimming or bathing around dock or boat ramp or using the dock or boat ramp to swim or bathe, and docking a vessel or otherwise trespassing is in prohibited areas of Laughling's fishermen access. The regulation addresses safety concerns of people swimming or bathing in a heavily congested boating area. The regulation will reduce potential injuries, which may include crop injuries, vessel collision, and trauma injuries incurred by vessels striking swimmers or bathers in the launch area. This regulation will also prohibit trespassing or docking in prohibited areas, allowing the area available for emergency vessel use at Laughlin's fishermen access. The commission heard this regulation workshop on September 13th, and the commission recommended as presented with no changes. Mr. Fiffner.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. As you said, we heard this regulation in Las Vegas when you were here. This is basically mostly safety regulations in regards to our upgrades at Fisherman's Access, where we would prohibit people using the law enforcement docking area. If you remember right, we had a PowerPoint in regards to it, and if I have to, we have one available there if we need to refresh anyone's memory. It's in the law enforcement launch area, and then there's also a law enforcement docking area. So we prohibit public vessels from docking in those areas when we're launching or emergency situations. And also we would prohibit swimming in the launch ramp areas where people have been using that as a large pool area, so that there wouldn't be injuries from prop cuts, being struck by a vessel when somebody's launching their vessel, or they would be using one of the docks as a jump off point to just swim both in front of the dock and in back, which are very small areas. The distances in front of the dock are not an issue because of the fast current. No one uses that. It's just, they should just jump in to go down to the ramp or such. So that's a quick overview of the regulation.
Okay. Thank you, Captain. Any questions or comments from the board at this time? Seeing none, I'll open it up. Any CAB or public comment in Reno?
Please, comment?
Seeing none, comment from Las Vegas.
No comment, Chairman.
Okay, comment from Elko.
No comment.
All right, I'll bring it back to the board since there is no public comment or discussion. If there's no discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman. I move to adopt the Commission General Regulation 444 Laughlin Fisherman's Access LCB file number R086-14 as presented by Captain.
Second.
So we've got a motion by Commissioner Young, seconded by Commissioner Wallace to approve Commission Regulation 444 as presented by the department. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 8-0. I will close agenda item 17C and move to agenda item 17D. Commission General Regulation 449, Cannery Taxidermist, LCD file number R111-14, Chief Game Warden Tyler Turnipseed for possible action. The Commission will consider regulation relating to taxidermy, authorizing a taxidermist who receives a taxidermic item from another taxidermist to maintain certain records in lieu of maintaining a record of the number of tags, seals, or permits for the taxidermic item, and providing other matters related thereto. The regulation clarifies the license requirements for canneries by including the activities licensed as a taxidermist and will reduce the amount of record keeping for a taxidermist. A taxidermist must complete when receiving hides, pelts, or other wildlife parts from another taxidermist. The regulation was requested through a petition to the Commission. The Commission heard this regulation in a workshop on September 13th, and the Commission recommended as presented with no changes. Chief Warden Turnipseed, I'll turn it over to you after that tongue twister you gave.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Tyler Turnipseed, Chief Game Warden, Department of Wildlife. As stated, this regulation was heard in workshop on September 13th. At that meeting, And what it essentially does, I could read you the subsection of the NAC that applies, but it's another tongue twister. What it does is it streamlines the record keeping that tanneries or other taxidermists have to keep. When one taxidermist subs out an item to another taxidermist to have work done, or a tannery, it'll ease up on the record keeping that tannery or the subcontracting taxidermist has to keep. Previously, they had to keep everything described in subsection A: name, telephone number, tag number, all that sort of stuff, all along the way. This allows that to be simplified, where the originating taxidermist puts a punch number in a cape or a hide. That way, when it goes to the tannery doesn't have to worry about maintaining tag number, license number, name, phone number, all that sort of stuff. He just needs to know the originating taxidermist's punch number.
Any questions for Chief Game Warden? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it out to public or cab comment in Reno. Seeing none, any comment in Las Vegas?
No comment.
Okay, thank you. Comment from Elko?
No comment, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I'll bring it back to the board. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Chairman Drew, I'll make the motion. Move to approve Commission General Regulation 449, Tannery/Taxidermist, LCB file number R111-14 as presented by Chief Game Warden Tyler Turnipseed.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Commissioner Johnston, second by Commissioner Wallace, to approve Commission General Regulation 449, Tannery Taxidermist, as presented by the department. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously 8-0. That will conclude our regulation workshop at this time. I'll move into agenda item 18, reports. The first one, and Mr. Wakeling, I'll ask, do we have a PowerPoint for 18?
Yeah.
I should have known by
Take time to
getting lit up here. But let's do this. If we're going to call up the PowerPoint, let's take a 10-minute break. We'll actually come back at 9:15, and we'll adjourn on the other side of the table so we can watch the PowerPoint, and we'll go from there. So we'll be back at 9:15.